Hey yo, shout out to that side block gang, you heard? And all my dudes that's out there from them side blocks, because New York is deeper than just projects. You heard? It's some notorious side blocks all through this city that's legendary. That some of the most legendary figures actually come from. All the legends in New York don't come from projects, bro. You heard? So with this series right here, Side Block Gang, I need y'all to form up. You heard? If you from a side block out there, shout your block out in the comments. Shout your cross streets out in the comments. Let me know where you grew up and all that. You heard? Shout out to the bro Nayboy up the hill. Shout out Prospect Plazas, Saratoga and Park Place. Let's go. Side blocks though be getting they just do.
Well, that's a fact though, bro, because I feel it's a different culture when you talk about side blocks in relation to like a whole project, man, because it's like hard becoming a side block legend across from like a notable project or anything related to that, because you're gonna go through some steps before you, like bro said, before you even get accepted. Because the project, as you know, man, being from one, that's like a whole community within itself. It's larger than some communities in them small towns up north. You know what I mean?
Straight up.
So the camaraderie, the family ties, and the generational, things that go on in projects is like hard to break into them if you don't do it correctly. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So my story starts, being from Park Place in Saratoga, the Hill, up in Brownsville, Ocean Hill, Brownsville, the Hill. So my block, Park Place in Saratoga, is literally in the middle of Prospect Plaza, which consists of 4 15-story project buildings. You got 430 to the left of us, which they were kind of isolated, so they were considered like a project on its own, although they all under the auspices of Prospect Plaza. 430 Saratoga Avenue was a building that kind of stood to the left of me on its own, and you had 3 buildings, Prospect Plaza, to the right. Now my block, Park Place in Saratoga, where I'm from, it's not like a pushover block, but it's a small cut block with, and I would say like and it don't even got like fully 2 sides at the time. It was one long side, which is the side I lived on. Then across the street had about 4 buildings, in a big lot. So that took up most of the block, and all private houses. No management style apartment buildings, them court style buildings on my block. They were just all private houses and one big building across the street that produced a few individuals. So I'm coming from this as I'm growing up. I'm in the middle of 4 project buildings, and I'm talking about, bro, earlier, it's like 8, 9, we had a center in the projects, right? So having the center in the projects, you had to go across the street. Me being from Park Place, I had to go across the street to the center in 430, where a bunch of project kids is in there playing pool, eating snacks, getting help with your homework, but this is their center, They knowing that you're not from the building, and I don't have any older brothers like that, and a lot of older dudes from my projects from my block wasn't necessarily always with me when I went to the center. So this is where around like 8, 9 years old, I started encountering older project dudes, and they always together, they from the projects, and their numbers are staggering. There's so many of them, so it's hard to really penetrate, their wall when there's so many of them, and they just sticking together just because you from the outside. So I would go to this center most of the time, and I'll be getting into things like they won't let me play on the pool table, they won't let me play on a little foosball table. And mainly it was the older kids, because the kids that was like in the public school that I went to, which is PS 178, in my age group, I didn't really have problems with kids in my age group, because I was able to handle them. But it was dealing with the older project kid. So I'm experiencing these things, and I'm like 8, 9 years old, going through this shit for like a whole summer. So as I'm going through these problems, You know, I got older dudes from my block, but they doing other things that they don't necessarily go to the center. They don't necessarily be over there with me, so I have to go there and be stuck in there while my grandma's out doing whatever she needs to do, and she think the center is deterring me from crime, and I'm in here watching all these older dudes, bully people. So I get the taste of the projects and what they had going on, and I kind of became a little bit envious of that. So, as time starts to progress, I start to feel like these individuals in the project got more, family ties than I do, because they got older brothers, older friends, and they sticking together. So I'm growing up in this, this environment with these individuals, and I'm fighting every day, man. Every day with these dudes. It's starting to get, stressful, because these dudes they just won't accept, that I'm not from their project. So as time progressed, I'm saying from 8 years old to about 5th grade is when I started to really, identify that I'm not from the projects. Fuck it, it's not gonna work. I'm not gonna be a part of that fabric. I'm not gonna be a part of that family. And I just started to embrace that whole, like you said, bro, that whole side block mentality, where now my peer group from my block is a little older, and I'm connected a little bit more with the older people from my block, the few, at any given time, we may be no more than 12, 13 deep as far as kids on my particular block. Now, my block is notable for a bunch of older drug dealers. It's always been the center of attention, but they got their own issues going on, and, young kids got their own issues going on. So, again, 10 years old, 5th grade, I'm the oldest in the school now, as far as being the 5th grade, because my school went up to the 5th grade. I now start to take on the identity of this side block situation, where now it's us against them, this project situation. And it's not really what we call the plaza, which is the 3 buildings to the right of me, up the hill on Prospect, which is left a block over. I'm more primarily going at it with this one big project building called 430 with their individuals, the older individuals, because that's the closest to me. It's like literally across the street, as the plaza is, a block up, a short block, but literally just a short block around the corner up, right there still though. So 10 years old, I'm embracing this side block mentality to the fullest, and when it comes to that, the individuals that are from the projects are in the school with me. So I tended to take a lot of my anger that I had for their, older individuals and their family-oriented style out on the individuals that were in my school at the time. So I would then kind of, I would begin to somewhat bully them in school, because I knew coming back to the community, it would be a tough task, because they are right across the street and they could get deep in less than 5 minutes, So at this point, I'm now, just a 10-year-old kid embracing the side block life. However, I am building positive relationships with individuals from the projects, because I'm growing up with them. I'm 10 years old by now, so I've been with these individuals for, since I started kindergarten. But they still from the projects, so they still would have to leave the projects to come to my block, which some of them did, but it started to become taboo for them to hang with me, because now, like I told you, I'm gaining notoriety. I'm gaining a little bit of, attention from the older kids, and I'm talking about 4 or 5 years older than me, 3, 4 years older than me, because the individuals that are in my age group, they're flocking to me, because I always had like leadership skills and, leadership quality. So now, in order for me to get into the fabric of the projects, I now have to, like damn near Mario Brothers, pass the level of fighting the bosses from the, the older kids. So I kind of refrain from going across the street and hanging with them, because I already knew there wasn't going to be much wins for me as a side block dude, because they just wasn't accepting of, many different side block dudes that I feel they couldn't control, because as you know, projects, they like to, in a sense, control individuals. So as time progressed, within that 5th grade year, I earned my name, I earned my notoriety, and again, I become somewhat of a target now that I got notoriety, because now the older dudes want to test me and see why none of the younger dudes that they sending at me is able to control me or do anything with me. So now I'm dealing with all of this, side block situation. I'm fighting whole project buildings from age 10 to like 13 every day. Then I got backing from my older homies, but it's just so crazy with the project numbers, bro. It's like it become crazy, like a one block going against a whole building. But like I said, I was able to manage it because at that time, the gunplay was very limited in the 90s. I'm talking 91, 2, 3, you know what I'm saying? It was a lot more fighting back then, than it is now. Now it's just who shoot. It could be 5 dudes. It's whoever's shooting first, It's a little different than it was then. So and plus I could fight really well, so I was able to thwart off a lot of that. So as time progressed, I'm going through a lot of, adversity in the neighborhood because I'm from a side block and these dudes are from the project. So they will come out of the projects, like I'm talking about 20, 30 deep, just to, try to fight dudes from my block. And it was about 10, 15 of us, and then we'll do what we can, and we never really took no big major L's, and anybody could attest to that. We never took no big major L's, but it was just so many of them. And with that comes older brothers, older individuals. They would start bringing dudes like almost 10 years older than us, to the block, to try to do certain things. So like I said, we never really took, and when I say no major L's, because you win some, you lose some, but a major L is not doing anything, and we never stood to not do anything. We always was going. Like anytime it was time, it happens. Even if the odds was against us, but my main focus of even jumping on the side block gang is because I feel like that's like a important part of history. Briefly, like we spoke about that. That's kind of like left out. A lot of side blockers, I'm gonna call them side blockers, are influential in project history, and they just automatically group you in to being for the projects, And when I mean being from the projects, having an actual apartment on 15E or some shit, you know what I mean? Or 13E, you know what I mean, bro? I never had an apartment in the projects, but me being from down there, eventually, individuals in school, because I went to school up the hill, so I went to school with other blocks, other areas, just because I'm literally from them, they don't even know what block I'm from, if I'm from 15E or Park Place, they just know I'm down the hill, so they automatically group me into being from Prospect Plaza, and sometimes I just had to identify with it, because it's like my block is my block, but they're gonna know the landmark of, the plaza, the projects that I'm from, so I would just identify with it. And another thing is the actual plaza that I'm telling you about, the 3 buildings that's kind of up, I never really had major problems with them because they was like my ally. Those were my guys, and it was more buildings than the one building that I was beefing with. So
but that one building is not part of Prospect Plaza?
It is part of Prospect Plaza, but the way we looked at it is everything is Prospect Plaza, but they're off to the side, so their identity is like, they call themselves 430. They don't call themselves Prospect Plaza, the individuals that's from there. They on the sign is Prospect Plaza, but the individuals from that building, they call themselves 430, aka 4 Main. That's how we, acknowledge them. And we acknowledge them as separate because they was just as much of a force, that one building, as the plaza, because, they held just as much individuals in there. So they was that, I consider it like living in between 2 projects in a sense. You know what I mean? So that one building up the hill is what you talk, the red building I used to be up there before they knocked it down and made the other buildings. So it is Prospect Plaza, but it's just, how we got that one, I don't know how we got that one off building that don't really fuck with nobody, they just by themselves type shit.
Yeah, it does.
Because y'all got quite a few more buildings
over time, shit changes in the projects, and you know, different buildings become different entities. But when I was out there, like it was like 61 in my project. 61 Thaffet was in a world of their own. You feel
That's
me?
how
Like
these brothers were, in a world of their own.
yeah, they peoples. They still, you know, they still Howard. We went to school with certain niggas in there, but they do their own. They always when I was out there, they always did their own little thing in 61 Thaffet. You feel what I'm saying?
Right, and that's how 430 was. They stuck with their own thing. They did their own thing. They had their own structure, and eventually the little dudes from out, like, I mean, before I even get to that point, so as I'm growing up, right, bro, I'm really going through these individuals, and I credit them, before I end the story, I credit them for even making me into the person that I am, because I battled some tough individuals from that. You know what I mean? I really could fight, I really get busy. So I do credit them for that. But just trying to, you know, as a side block dude, it's just gain the respect of a project dude, because automatically, because you're from the projects, especially back then, there was a level of, you know, respect that was given because you was from the projects. Sometimes you didn't even have to earn it, in my opinion. You just was from the projects, you fell into the fold.
Yeah, it's a sick little, you know, it's tribalism. And it's a sick little, it's like a little form of institutionalism too, because like I know niggas that niggas will point it out. Niggas will let you know, yo son, listen, yeah, that nigga's son from Howard, son rep Howard, but he ain't never really lived in Howard before.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like a nigga throw that up under your belt just to let you know.
For no reason. Yeah,
like
they would do that.
Like
to
check
I see
it.
that all the time.
Yeah, but a nigga might have been in the projects all day, every day, busting his gun, fucking 5-6 different bitches in the projects. Nigga got a baby mother in the projects, and niggas still will let you know. Yeah, but son he ain't grow up in the projects here though.
And for niggas, like I said, bro, we right across this, literally, right? I'm like, bro, my block is in the middle of these two projects, so you right. A brother could have just been across the street like the other brother was, but if you ain't got no address in there, you ain't borrowing no sugar from Mrs. Mary or whoever, like, you ain't really them, no. So I never really wanted to be that. I ain't from the projects. You know, I rep it to the death. I'm from Park Place in Saratoga, in the middle of that, and if it was, I roll with them, I done been in dramas with them, meaning like I roll side by side with them, but I ain't from the projects though, bro. I'm not from 14.
Yeah, now don't get me wrong though. It's been dudes though, bro. It's been dudes and chicks that was from side blocks in my projects, or they was from across the street from the projects, and niggas accepted them niggas like family. That's it. And them niggas be in the projects all day, fuck with niggas. And to everybody, them niggas is peoples, bro. They is no, you know what I mean? It's no, yo, nah, that nigga ain't really niggas. But you know, it's always those one or two individuals that be like, yeah, son is peoples, man, but you know, he ain't never really have an apartment in, man.
Nah, so good. Niggas will say them like, nah, so you know, son really from like this block though. He's there, but he really from fucking up the block though. He not necessarily from there. Son used to be in there all the time with niggas. His aunt lived there. You
got niggas like me who I literally, you know, grew up in 1590 in Howard Projects, but then you'll have a nigga that say, yeah, son, but you know, son ain't live out there mad long though.
Oh yeah. You gotta, like, project is generational, man. You gotta really be attached to them shits almost like forever. In my opinion, man, because you gotta be attached to them shits all like forever for them to really fully give you a little shirt on Old Timers Day or the fucking or Project Day. Like, you know, you're not gonna come through with a Van Dyke shirt or a Plaza shirt if you ain't have an apartment there. Niggas might look at you crazy, you know?
Word, that's crazy. Like, niggas will do that. Niggas would be like even if niggas invited you to the hood, let you rep the hood, and then you do something like get famous, and then you come out with a Van Dyke shirt on or something, niggas be like, nah, son. Niggas be like, nah, son, that nigga ain't really for the peas though, son.
You're not getting that. You might, if you ain't doing the right thing, and that could be just doing the thing for that one dude, you're not for, that's it, they cooking you. And I personally rebelled against that. I wanted to be tough as a side block dude. I started identifying with that concept. I ain't from no project, I'm just a, gangster from the side block. I consider myself an alpha side block nigga. You know what I mean? Because I really was putting on him, and I became notable, and a lot of the attention, was on myself at times, especially in school, because I told my man Reese Bone, like, we never really, he's from the project. This is one of my best friends growing up, my man Reese Bone. This is my man. It was me, him, and R.I.P. my man Ronnie Ron, man. So we grew up together. Ronnie Ron is from my block, Ronnie. He died in '99, so my brother, R.I.P. to him. Like, yeah, man, like, you didn't even have to go and bring none of them older dudes from your projects, from your building, because we held it down in school enough where, we took it on our own. You didn't even have to really use their assistance. And he credited myself. He gave me my flowers at that time. Like, you right, bro. The way you had it, I'm talking about when we was in, like, junior high school, public school, you made it so we was all good up the hill. Because we had other tough niggas from up the hill. Bergen, Dean niggas, Kingsborough niggas. So once we left Saratoga down the hill, all that project shit is out the window, because now we got to survive on our own amongst other tough niggas, All that shit is out the window. So that's how I fell into that whole project identity, being from a side block. But I always rebelled, and I wanted to stand on my own for my block. I didn't really want to necessarily identify just with the tougher entity, because just being from the project it's like a cheat code sometimes. You can be dead pussy, but once you're from that project and it's like 25 of y'all in one school, it might be hard, just to really expose that dude until years later, That's just how, but I was into exposing them dudes, because I didn't really give a fuck. I remember one quick story, bro, and I don't know if this dude is dead or not, so I don't really want to say his name, but it was this one time, and this was the Plaza, the place I told you that I'm not fully beefing with them, but I had some beef with them in public school, like before I got to junior high school, but they was manageable. There's this one dude though, he wasn't soft, but he wasn't on my level, So I was spanking the shit out of him in public school, like 5th grade, beating him up. He was talking crazy to me. All day in school he was talking crazy to me. I went in his mouth, wild on him. Like, bro, stop talking to me like that. He had a couple older cousins, and he had an older cousin, I'm gonna tell you offline, from your projects that was notable. So his little cousin, that dude, I was talking to this dude, I'm talking about I'm spanking him all day in school. He's just talking crazy, you know what I mean? So we're walking down Saratoga from PS 178. We get literally, I'm talking about he's quiet. I'm talking to him from Dean Street all the way down to Prospect. We get to the corner of Prospect and Saratoga. It is about 200 of these niggas like outside. It's like damn near spring day. It's like 200 of them niggas just outside chilling. He gets to the corner, drops his book bag, and say, "Yo, what's up now?" And a bunch of dudes ran across the street like, "Yo, what's good?" I said, "Oh, this dude right here." That's when I realized the power of the projects, And I know this dude is soft as ice cream, but he drops his book bag and say, "Yo, what's up now?" I ended up still fighting the dude, but my fight wasn't as hard as it was in school, because if the playing field was even, I still wound up spanking him, but I could have did him filthier if we was in school, and I'm a block away from my block, where I'm comfortable. But once he got in front of his projects, the boy dropped his book bag and went off. Like, what I mean? He damn near ready was, like he was a WWF wrestler at the time. That's how animated he became, you know what I mean? So I started to realize, man, it's like dealing with them, and first off, it would be very difficult for me to like get with them in their project, so I almost avoided getting into altercations inside their terrain. So I would always make sure, to either draw them out to me, or I just catch them in school. So growing up like that is kind of different, because like I said, bro, that whole side block life, it can get tough, man. And just being accepted into a project, it ain't as easy as some may think, man. Because like you said, even if you fully busting your gun for it, getting busy for it, somehow, some way, there's gonna be somebody, even if it's a female or male, to say that you're not really from that project. The one thing you do wrong, you're not really from that project. And that's what you could be repping from jail, everywhere, school and outside, you know, but they're gonna identify you as being from that little side block, and that's just how project individuals think. I'm sorry, man. I've been around them all my life, so I can say that I ain't gonna call them racist, but them dudes is biased to side block dudes depending upon the circumstances, you know? Because even when you hear about OG legends, sometimes they mention that them dudes wasn't really from the projects. They got to explain their history first. You know how your show, you got a lot of brothers, you got the Sumner dudes, the Marcy dudes, a lot of them dudes lived in the projects, them LG dudes, the Fruit and them niggas. They will tell you if that dude actually had an apartment in the project or if he came through on the strength, you know? And I'm listening to that now that you mentioned the side block shit. All of them dudes do mention, you know, if a dude actually lived in the projects with them or if he was invited there, you know, and they'll give you the origin of how he got there. But that dude may be repping, you know, Sumner, LG, Brownsville, but to the residents, he not necessarily from the project. Niggas will say you invited you or however that may go. But, you know, and then in terms to double back as far as like the building I'm telling you about, as we got older and we fighting, we going through things, and I earned the respect of them. By the time I got to like 14 years old, 15, I had already had a few trips to juvenile, so I already had some different, you know, energy about myself, a different aura about myself. So all the beefing with them dudes had stopped by that time because I seen some of them out of their elements in juvenile, and some of them wasn't performing to my standards, you know. So by the time, and now at this time, I'm not, you know, when you go to jail, you don't, sometimes you rep just your project, but you do rep the area. So Brownsville is like Brownsville, so you can be from anywhere. They just going to see you as from Brownsville. If they're not from Brownsville, they're not going to separate you by projects. So sometimes in jail especially, I would have to say, you know, I'm from the plaza because I live right there. So me telling a dude I'm from Park Place would, you know, he might not even know that.
Sometimes you gotta simplify it. Like a nigga ain't gonna know. Nigga don't know every block. Nigga just be like, you know where Prospect Plaza is at? That's where I'm from.
That's a fact, and that's how I do it. That's how I had to do it, and it used to bother me a lot doing that shit because I'm like, I'm not really, but it would be like, where you from, bro? I'll be like, you know what? You know where Prospect Plaza? Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, that's where I'm from. Then they start calling me Prospect and shit like that, or Plaza. They start calling me Plaza and Juvenile for a minute because that's where they thought I was from, and it was one or two of them in there that was with me. So I couldn't just say call me Park Place and no shit like that, you know.
There's all type of levels of separation in the hood, man. Cause like, if you in Brownsville, you like, all right, this Brownsville, but that's up the hill niggas up there. Those is down the hill niggas. Then we like down the hill niggas. We like those is other side of the Ville niggas. Like shit past Tilden. When you hit Riverdale and Newport and Plaza and that's other side of the Ville niggas. You feel what I'm saying?
And then Flatbush niggas.
Yeah, then you got then you got new houses. Them shits ain't new no more because they been here since the early 80s, but we still call them shits the new houses. And them niggas is just straight private houses, but you will get murdered over there in them private houses.
That's a fact, you would. That's a fact. And then you're right that we do got different sides, but you got to be from them sides, and everything got a landmark. Like, where you from? You from down the hill? I wait about Brownsville, Cephalo, Howard? Because, you know, Howard is like in the middle from up the hill to down the hill, depending upon, you know, y'all right at the beginning of down the hill.
Yeah, we the first projects down the hill.
Right, because you got Plaza, then you got
Amboy.
fucking the Garvey, Amboy, and Amboy, then y'all. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, like you're right, it's just different degrees. and all of those are landmarks. So I just started claiming, I wouldn't say claiming the projects, but like you said, it was easier just to say, especially to other Ville niggas, I'm just from the plaza. I'm by the plaza. That's where I'm from. So I just, and I had earned the right to say that. Nobody would be like, yo, son, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too, though, man. Now, there is some dudes that, you know, they rep so hard that niggas be scared to say they not really from the P's. Nigga might say that real low in a whisper, like, you know, son ain't really from the, but some niggas rep so hard that was from outside the P's that niggas just shut the fuck up. And then you got some dudes that, you know, they moved to the P's late in the game, but they turned it up, or whatever they did, they was loved so much in the projects that, you know, niggas don't even know that they originally from Canarsie, or they originally from, you feel what I'm saying?
That's true though. Cause it's a bunch of niggas that moved to my hood to the P's late like a motherfucker, and if you ain't go to school in that neighborhood, it's like hard to really connect with you in a sense. Cause I went to school and I went to all the schools in my neighborhood: the kindergarten, 178 Annex, the public school, 178 to IS 55. So I went to all three schools all my life in that hood. So I'm a almost everybody in the hood.
That school shit is what it really is. Yeah. It's like if you were from a projects, y'all most likely gonna go to your zone school. So if you didn't go to the zone school from your particular projects, you're gonna be a little bit alienated.
Yeah, that's
later
true,
on in life.
Happened too.
And
so you had a few zone schools. You're right.
Yeah, that's like right. I did this shit. Like I went to 275 instead of Marcus. And niggas like, what the fuck is wrong with you, son, going to 275?
That shit is deep from us, bro. You know where we at. That shit is extremely deep from us.
Yeah, so it's a lot of dudes in the Ville that they may not know me like that because I didn't go to Marcus. I went to the 5. But mad niggas from the Ville went to the 5, but it was a different whole group of individuals that went to the 5 than went to Marcus. You understand what I'm saying?
So a bunch of niggas, a bunch of projects going on. Niggas that went to 275, I know some dudes that went there too. A couple dudes from my side went there, but some Tilda niggas went to 275, some sprinkled it here and there, but it was like a lot of over Newport niggas that probably went there.
No, it was plazas and co-op that ran the whole, like it was plazas and co-op. Brookdale is right there in them side blocks. You had a bunch of niggas that was coming from on that side.
And like you said, bro, that whole, the dynamics of the hood, it gets broken up, and you got to know the hood language, you got to know the layout of the land to really understand the dynamics of that shit and dealing with it. And when it comes to the project, them shit's its own communities. They, like you said, it's tribalism. So that's just different tribes, you know, forming generation after generation, you know? It began, you know, with the Jewish individuals, with the influx to Brownsville. You know, they was there first. Then they handed it over to the black and Spanish, and it's still there with them. Now they trying to do other things with the projects and privatize it and give it back to, you know, I guess his rightful owners in a sense, because they trying to take it away from us. So it's a lot of things that happen, and Prospect Plaza is the only project to date that I know of that's been torn down and rebuilt. You know, so R.I.P. to Prospect Plaza, because by 2000, 2001, we done lost the hood like that, because that was the nucleus of the hood, and they done knocked it down, shipped everybody to different projects from the Ville, the Star, the Bronx, everywhere. So they knocked down 4 whole buildings and just relocated everybody, bro. And that's like the first time I ever seen that happen in my life.
And when they rebuilt them, they let people move back in them?
Yeah, there's a percentage of people that move back in, not a large percentage, and they built like houses around them, and they offered individuals, and they knocked it down at such a unique time in the early 2000s, like 2000, and they started to knock them down around that time, and individuals weren't, you know, financially literate, they weren't credit literate at the time, so a lot of the times they weren't able to buy the homes that they built around it. A few people did. And they did offer individuals to come back, you know, when it was fully built. But by the time it was fully up and running, it was like several years done passed. And these people have already been, you know, displaced in and their, other communities is like, why the fuck come back? Like, you know what I'm saying? There already been kids done grown and people done passed on, so the few individuals that did get back, they are back there now, and they living amongst, other individuals in the community. Never right now, which is a good thing because it was so violent over there, was revitalized to the way it was prior to the projects being knocked down. So growing up over there was an amazing experience, both positive and negative, but still, once they knocked them shits down, it's like the hood dispersed, man. A lot of those individuals from the project dispersed with it, and I'm just fortunate enough to have been relevant before the projects, was passing, and after, so a lot of individuals just vanished, like you don't even hear from them no more. And there was so much history in those projects, man. And I had a lot of fun just being in and around it, man, just growing up with those individuals, man. I was more accepted because I had to go through a lot. And had I not, had to go through all the fighting and shit with them and just proving myself, I would have for sure been victimized to my last days, man. But that's just how projects is. It's just forever relentless. They're going to keep coming at you. They're not going to stop. You're not going to just have a comfortable time in the projects if you're not necessarily, with whatever they with. Because it's going to be a problem. That's just what it is, man. And then for a side block dude, it's going to be even worse because now when y'all go to local parks, unless your block is deep, these dudes is coming to play ball. They probably don't even know how to play ball. Nigga, there's 30 of them coming to the park just to come. And if you on the court, they going to want to ask for a shot, not give you the ball back. You know how that tactic go. So it was something in me that made myself like, I'm not getting victimized by these dudes for a long duration. We're going to experience this. We're going to see how this work out. And once I figure that science out, it was on from there. And lastly, a little dude from my block, I had told a story about him, about the Crip dude that, I kind of, made sure that the homies ain't move on because he was just a little bit out of bounds. He's from my block. He became a notable figure in the 430 project. He became one of the notable figures, one of the top shooters. He was really putting on for him, and this is an individual that, I lended a hand and helped him bring it up. He just took it to the next level. So he never had an apartment in the projects, but my other mans, these are like family too, they had an apartment in the projects and an apartment on my block. It was just so deep. So they did, but they accepted this dude, my little man, in the projects to the point where they would never say he not from the projects. Like you said, some dudes just earn that, and he's one of them dudes that they won't even dare say he not, because he put their projects in a different space after a while. And that's my bro. So, but I just wanted to get up on this, bro. First, I know it's going to be some fire coming with the side block gang, because I'm looking forward to hear about the side block gang, shout out to Bro Wild. I definitely want to hear his perspective.
Yeah, let me tell you, I always felt like side block dudes was interested motherfuckers and real niggas too, man, because, they be outnumbered. They be the underdogs. You feel what I'm saying? So I know some side block niggas that, because they was the underdogs, they was extra psychotic with it. You know who's the ultimate side block nigga?
What's up, Murder?
Murder, man.
That's my boy, man.
Murder from Tapscott.
All praises due.
That nigga's the ultimate.
But you know what? And that's another thing before. I was thinking, because there's a criteria to meet for side block, though, bro. The criteria is like 50 feet from the projects or some crazy shit like that, you heard? Murdering them is a force on their own. You got some blocks that's just tough. But if you want to say Tapscott, dude, they got mad little tenement-style buildings down there. You got Sally's, you got Park Rock, little things like that.
Yeah, they should be project-y still. There's some of that, a lot of that shit over there be still New York City housing and shit. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is project-y. Like, all Sutter and shit like that is for sure. All that shit is project-y.
Yeah, all that shit is really all that shit is technically projects. Like, I don't know the name of that is that other shit, not White Walls, but it's like up the block from White Walls where all of the buildings look the same.
What are you talking about, on my side?
Yeah, up the hill, like, it's like the whole block. That might be your block. with all of the
That is my
build.
block. Yeah, but that's the newer projects, though. You talking about in this day and age, currently?
Yeah, that's a projects.
Yeah, but that's the plaza. That's the new plaza.
Yeah, not those shit. Not the new plaza. It's another little side block up the hill.
Oh, you talking about like St. John's, Ralph, and all that?
I'm not sure which block it is.
Yeah, those are exactly. Though I know what you're talking about. Right on my. That's my side. Like St.
Like
that's
right,
actually,
you know where that gas station is at? That little
yeah,
death trap.
110%. I was about to. That's where PD from. That's where my bro PD from. That side, that block, St. John's. That is for sure project, and they came while I was still young. Them shits is, we consider them shits new. You know what I mean? But those are for sure NYCHA.
Yeah, them shits is new to me because when I went over there, I was like, "What the fuck is these?"
Yeah, them shits ain't old like that. Yeah, but them they like 20 years old, if that. Not even 20. They older than that.
They definitely wasn't there back in the 90s, though.
Nah. They came up in the 90s. That's when they came up. That's a fact. Is when because people from my man and them moved from 430 to those projects. I don't remember exactly when they did that shit. They moved it, but they still NYCHA though. That's a fact. So you're right. And they got a bunch of side blocks because PD was from a side block right across the street from that. Not even across, like the next building's over. He from right there, so that's his shit.
Yeah.
But you're right, bro. The side block shit is, but there's a requirement for side blocks, man. In my opinion, man, you got to definitely be next to some P's though, because other blocks are just tough blocks, like gates and all that.
I know some legendary side block dudes that when you up north and shit, niggas be like, "Yo, son, you from Howard? You know such and such from Howard?" And in my head, I be saying, yeah, son ain't really from Howard, but you know what I mean? He rep Howard, and I won't tell a nigga, I won't tell her outside of that. Like a nigga that's not from the Ville, and he asked me, "Yo, you know such and such, he from Howard?" I won't tell him, yeah, that nigga ain't really from Howard, but I know who you talking about. Like, I might tell that to a nigga from Howard, but if it's an outsider nigga just asking me, he not even from the Ville, and he like, "Yeah, my man is from Howard, man, such and such." And in my head, I know that nigga is not really from Howard. I won't correct that because that's the peoples. You feel what I'm saying? Son is peoples. He repping it. Long as he repping the hood the right way.
As a fact, and projects claim a few blocks after. Like they go swoop a few blocks up. Like Howard gonna claim that whole Stafford, that whole little area. You gonna be from Howard, like in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Cause even if it ain't in the P's, but that whole little area, cause y'all got the Glenmore shit that makes it a little weird, cause y'all share that. But other than that, them little blocks belong to Howard in a sense. You know what I mean? Because they spill out. But if you right across the street, I don't know what Tompkins. I'm thinking with Tompkins and Vernon, that shit sound like it's dead in the smack in the middle of Tompkins. And you know what I mean? But that's still like Tompkins claimed that little area, so all the side block dudes from that area, if they choose to, they could be a part of the project fabric. You know?
That's a fact, though. That's how it is with. That's how it was back in the days with like, yeah, I don't want to mention certain shit because shit got dirty. But, I mean, but yeah, you're absolutely right about that, man. There's niggas that, you know, they grew up right across the street from the in my projects on damn, son, you making me think of niggas that I can't even remember them. I ain't think about these niggas in years. But I forgot the bro name, man. Tap in the comments if you know who I'm talking about. But it was a bro that lived right across the street from Howard, right where Liberty, right on Liberty, like right across the street from 260. It used to be a house, like a little house there, and I forgot the bro name that used to live right there. But son used to be in the P's all the time, and he was an honorary Howard nigga. To us?
Yeah, it be like that because they gonna claim a few blocks. It's just what it is. The area, like my projects of the hill, where they claimed a few blocks. Like it really stopped at like St. Mark's. Because everybody else had their own identity. Like my Bergen niggas had their own identity, Dean Street niggas, and even then that became Kingsborough territory because that's where they at. Some of them blocks, some of them dudes, you know, became Kingsborough dudes. You know, and that's all considered part of our hill because we go to the school together. We all, you know, from the same shit. And White Walls is not a project, but they project you, like you said, and they fell into their own mix, and everybody kind of mixed. So.
Yeah, that shit is a project to me, though. That shit is a piece to me, though.
It's to us too. They got their code. They institutionalized like a motherfucker, like we are. Like, you know what I mean? They go to the same fucking jails we go to. They do the same crime, same shit, man. And we was in the same schools, man. But lastly, bro, when you said the projects is like an institution, those walls are fucking gray, like crazy back in the days. It was just like the same structure like they had in them faucets in Rikers Island and up top. Some shit is all on top of each other, you know. It just felt that way sometimes when you think about it.
That shit is institutional, bro. It's a bunch of metal and steel and stone and brick. You feel me? That locks in when you go in. You locked in that bitch. You feel me? Like that shit. That shit holds thousands of people. It's like a jail.
Be crazy. Shit be crazy.
And when you grow up in that shit, you know, it's like it's a certain level of institutionalism that you grow up with that people that's not from those projects, they don't have that same level of institutionalism. So they be different type of people. Like when you around niggas that ain't grow up in the project, they don't be as psychologically damaged sometimes as niggas from the projects. Like that project shit be really having niggas fucked up. Like niggas think they really own this shit, and you understand what I'm saying? They gotta bang out
like a motherfucker though. That's the fact. They do become very territorial project dudes, and that's why it's such a segregation. That's why it's people with like 430 and just allowed to just like be off on their own. Like this is our shit. Y'all niggas got the mother. This is it. Like that's just how that shit is. They just allowed to just be separate, you know. And we had some legendary ball, games in our projects though, man. And in the Ville, I don't know if you ever heard of the Soul in the Hole tournament. You know what I mean? We had legendary tournaments, man. They had some twins from, I think they was from Howard, that was nice in ball. I don't know if you remember them dudes. They used to come off the hill and get busy in the tournaments and shit.
You talking about they old school niggas?
Yeah, the old school dudes. Yeah, they used to play ball and shit.
You talking about the Hookshot twins?
Yeah, them dudes. I think that's them dudes. Yeah, it's a fact.
Yeah. We were speaking about them before too. The bro J Lo mentioned
Howard, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they used to come up there and play ball. You had a couple other legendary dudes from Howard that played ball that came in our tournament, you know. But like I said, I love the project. Definitely foster families. I can't even lie. Some dudes love each other like a motherfucker, man. Them dudes would definitely die for each other. They lay it down. It's a lot of things that go on the projects, man, but them dudes' level of loyalty at times is kind of, impressive at times. They do get a little disloyal, but them dudes start off early, like kind of, being with each other. Those be your first best friends, and they go on your floor. You don't even got to go outside sometimes, man. You just right on the floor playing, like, or in the building. So you are kind of cornered off from the world as opposed to a side block dude. We gotta if we ain't living in a big tenement building, we gotta look out the window when it's snowing. We can't come out and play. Them dudes play right in their building, in their lobby. You know what I mean? The lobby becomes a playground to them.
That's another thing too, bro. What a lot of people don't know is some side block niggas be more poorer than niggas in the projects.
Oh, that's a fact.
I done went to some of my side block niggas' cribs, and I was amazed at how poor they house was.
That's
you
a
feel
fact,
me?
though. That's true.
And it's like even me, before I lived in Howard, I lived all over Brooklyn. That, you know what I mean? I lived in 510 Chauncey. I lived in motherfucking, we lived in Linden Projects. We lived in motherfucking, Park Slope, you feel me? In Park Slope, I was from St. Mark's between 5th and 4th. That was a side block. You understand what I'm saying? When I moved to Howard, I probably was 5, about to turn 6. And that shit was a whole new world of projects. And I tell niggas, when I got to Howard in 1980 or whatever, that shit was beautiful to me, my nigga. It was green grass and chains and pipes, and the buildings was all clean. I'm talking about from the outside, coming from where I came from in Park Slope at the time, living in damn near an abandoned building. That shit was, that it was a clean institutional look. Niggas is manicuring the grass and the trees.
It was set up for that back then, man.
Yeah, it fooled you. It fooled you. It fooled me into believing that it was a nice neighborhood, but it wasn't.
When you said that though, bro, I always felt like dudes in the projects was flyer because them dudes came to school with Jordans on them. Them dudes was fresher. A lot of them dudes, like the dudes from the project, was a little fresher than us from the South Block. That's a fact they was because. And I later learned, some of the reasonings behind it, but they definitely some of them definitely presented a little bit better than us, man. I'm thinking of a couple of kids in particular that I know definitely dressed and was better on Easter than we was, Because I used to, judge a dude from Easter. I see a nigga with his Easter clothes on all year round. I know he's fly, I was clean, but I wasn't fly, man, coming up until 12, 13. I started getting my own little change, but my grandma's kept me clean, kept me right. I never had a nappy hair, so, I got a shout out for that. And, I want to shout my man Wise out too, man. He got the good clothing line out, the good yuppie clothing line, man. Good dude, good side block gangster himself too, man. My man Wise. But I appreciate you, bro, for definitely always giving me the time and the platform to express myself, man. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing from all the good side block gangsters out there in the world, you heard?
You already know we're gonna start some shit.
That's a fact, though, man. Word, man. I ain't even going into crazy detail, but I just wanted to start it off, man. I'm just waiting to hear it ring off, you are.
It's certain neighborhoods in Brooklyn that it ain't nothing really but side blocks, like the 90s.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Them niggas is the most notorious side block neighborhood in New York.
Yeah, it's definitely they got all that 90s shit, and they got one little project-y type thing, Rutland Plaza. But
they got that shit.
Stand alone from them.
Yeah, I don't want to get it mixed up.
Little foreigners from there, little Fabios from there.
You talking about that big, stupid, ridiculous OD next level building? Not that shit the Armor starred.
It's a big ass, crazy ass, big fucking building right on Rutland. I don't exactly know the number, but it's big as shit. I think it got terraces and all that, but there's some side blocks that's just as tough as that shit though. Even tougher actually.
Yeah. That big, giant, stupid building, that shit, and just like
got a little supermarket and shit on it.
Yeah, and them niggas be in there, like they be in them big ass lobbies.
Yeah, that shit do got a big stupid lobby of fucking. That shit like a little city because I think it got a parking lot under that shit or it's next to it. It's massive, like a.
Yeah, it's like a big giant parking lot in the back of it or something. It's this shit. That shit is ridiculous.
That, bro.
Real talk, over there in the 90s, bro, like a big ass building, and that shit.
Like the castle we're talking about. They got some shit called the castle.
That's probably what it is, son.
Like on Kings Highway, they get they notable too. They got some shit called the castle. A lot of them dudes is notable. Shout out to the 90s too, man. Wow.
Yeah, bro.
Free the roller too, Blue Boy, man. Free the roller. We was supposed to do something with you, man, but he got jammed up. Unfortunately, man. Wow. Well, he was definitely looking forward to it. He was, he had a lot of love for the dude Shot too before he got knocked. I was telling him,
Yeah.
Well, that he had. I let him listen to Shot. I said, let him listen to your shit when Shot mentioned him. He got a lot of love for that dude, but he caught up. He jammed up right now,
Yeah, I know, man.
So free my son, free the roller, man. Free Blue Boy. It's a good brother, man. It's a definitely unfortunate situation, man, but. But I'm going to sign off out your bro, man. I love the channel. You know that shit, man. I hit you up periodically about all that.
That's I appreciate you. You always got some jewels to drop.
Yo, yeah. Your channel is this. That shit give me. I'm talking about her son shit 6 in the morning, bro. Word. On the way to work, I'm calling, bro, tonight, man. I gotta start off this side block gang series.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you some other shit. I gotta tell this to everybody now before you go. I got another channel now, the Gen Pop TV. I got another channel, Gen Pop TV. That shit is getting ready to take off real nicely. And the reason why I got that other channel is because sometimes YouTube got a bunch of new rules and shit. So sometimes they be shitting on me where they won't approve a certain story on my regular channel, and I have to move that shit over to my Gen Pop channel and they approve it over there. You feel what I'm saying?
YouTube, bro? It's still YouTube?
Yeah. It's just another channel that I just got monetized. You feel what I'm saying? So
once I get out, I got you. I'm on that shit.
see, bro, the Gen Pop TV got a bunch of it got some new exclusive shit, but it got a bunch of old episodes too that a lot of people didn't see. Because it's too much content. A lot of niggas didn't see it, so I got a lot of shit up there, but it's also exclusives that's not on my regular channel, that's only on Gen Pop TV, because like I said, sometimes, like I got a story right now about Bangum Smurf and 50 Cent beef, right? Know what I mean? That shit got like 7,000 views on the Gen Pop TV channel, and it's a brand new channel. Listen to that Bangum and 50 Cent beef story that's on that Gen Pop TV. That shit is crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on that shit, man. Shout out to the motherfucking Gen Pop TV, man. Word, I got you.
Alright, bro, man. I'ma holler at you. This'll be out soon. If you got a picture that you want to put with this, send that shit through, and I got you.
I'm gonna do that, bro. I'm gonna go look through some shit tonight, my man.
Alright, my bro.
One love, baby.
Alright, peace.